What's up, everybody? Thralls Metal here once again. I'm Necrotic.
I'm Jammin John.
And we have yet another album review to go over, and another big one that came out this week that we definitely wanted to go over because this band is a party.
Yes.
And I always want to attend this party. So we are going to go over the latest offering from Midnight, Hellish Expectations. This also comes out on the 8th of March on Metal Blade Records. This band formed in 2003 in Cleveland, Ohio. This is their 6th full-length overall, and by there I mean ATHENAR'S. He's a one-man wrecking crew in the studio. I've been into this band, probably since Sweet Death and Ecstasy. We've been over their last two albums, Rebirth by Blasphemy and Let There Be Witchery. Both of them, a lot of fun, and that is generally why I love this band. They are just ridiculous amounts of sleazy, evil fun with their sort of blackened speed metal, blackened heavy metal, almost blackened punk at times sound. And despite how much I love their albums, the way to listen to this band is live. Live.
Yeah, these guys are an absolute trip live. Set something on fire and rage. That's pretty much the nature of this band. But the albums, while they're entertaining, I don't think they do it justice. As much justice as seeing them live.
Yeah. I mean, granted, every time I listen to a Midnight album, I can see ATHENAR'S shrouded face and hear him yelling and then, burning stuff. Yeah. Because, I mean, ATHENAR'S loves to burn stuff.
That's what he does. Yeah, and we had the chance to see him in an outdoor venue, which I think was greater than seeing them indoors by far because there was a lot of fire.
I mean, I've seen them both in an indoor venue and an outdoor venue. Outdoor was the way to go. I still got the same amount of dad jokes and just, ridiculous humor in between songs. But, outdoors, it feels like you're kind of like no rules. Like, this band feels like if they were to remake The Lost Boys, which I said that out loud, they probably will, this is the band that should be playing the carnival that the saxophone played at.
I agree, 100%. If they remake The Lost Boys, 100%. If I don't see Midnight in there, somebody messed up.
Yeah.
Opens up with Expect Total Hell, Feedback, Ascending Riff, a D-beat gallop, and we're off.
And that could cover a majority of the tracks. I mean, if you've been listening to Midnight for a while, they have, or he has, rather, a straightforward, simple formula of just old school, gnarly, heavy metal riffs, snarled vocals, which I love ATHENAR'S vocal approach. He sounds like he means every sleazy word he says, and I dig that. And, just very simple song structure. Again, kind of bordering on punk at times, especially on songs like Doom, Death, Desire, and Gas Scrape. Like, it's just straightforward, like, 4-chord punk, but done in an extra sleazy fashion, and D-beats and D-beats and D-beats. There are almost more D-beats on this album than there are on a Discharge album or another Midnight album, honestly.
A lot of these songs go back and forth with each other, much like, are we laughing and having a good time and breaking stuff, or are we just breaking stuff? And the front half of the record, I would say at least the first 4 songs, if not 4.5 songs, are laughing and having fun and breaking stuff. Everything from Dungeon Lust on is breaking stuff.
Yeah.
And doing so with more of a fuck you attitude.
Yeah, like Criminal Intent across the board. Like Nuclear Savior, just a rigid, mean, vicious song. The riffs get a little bit more metallic, and at times, like, a little bit of that blackened flavor kind of comes out.
Yep.
But, man, it just sounds more gnarly overall. Like, it sounds less like, I'm telling you about, like, let's rebel and destroy some stuff and have fun. Like, nah, man, we're going to burn this building down. I know there's people in it, but I also don't care.
Yep.
And that one plays well off of the next track, Deliver Us to Devil, which as soon as, like, Deliver Us to Evil. I don't want to call it Devil. That sounds
that's dumb.
Wrong. But that song also high energy, vicious, a little bit more of that, speed metal kind of love. Like, there's a ton of Motorhead and Venom worship on here. Maybe some of the more punky years of Dark Throne kind of twisted in there too. But everything is just, again, vicious, straightforward as hell. You're not going to miss any of these songs' intention, because their intention are to get you moving and kind of spinning around. And again, maybe, committing some light crime, like misdemeanors mostly.
The song Merciless Slaughter which may or may not be a reference to some bands.
It's probably some bands that ATHENAR loves.
Probably, could be. That's got a really cool riff to it, and it's slower, and you could definitely throw a chair at someone. It's kind of a little bit more merciless and brooding and evil sounding.
Honestly, it sounds like the soundtrack to a bar fight at the CBGB. Like, the floor is oddly wet. Might be beer, might be urine, might be blood. But yeah, it's just kind of gnarly sounding. And I like this one because, generally when you see Midnight, ATHENAR'S on bass. And the bass really kind of comes out on the song and almost out-snarls the guitars. The guitars have like this really good classic fuzz. And that's kind of like the production in a nutshell. Like, it's very analog, very old school. Once again, this was done by Noah Buchanan of Nunslaughter, who has worked on, I would say, the majority of Midnight's albums. And he just captures this very old school, I would say very like early Venom-esque sort of production, albeit like mixed a whole hell of a lot better, because I love those early Venom albums, but man, the production's kind of garbage. But the production coupled with the music itself, it's this fine line between like old school heavy metal piss and vinegar and hardcore punk, larceny and assault. And where those two elements meet up, I think, is kind of where Midnight has always been at their strongest. Like songs like F.O.A.L, which stands for Fuck Off and Live, and it is a glorious closer on here. You have that perfect balance of like punky, angsty, just D-beat driven fun, but the riffs are a little bit more metallic, and they throw on some cool, catchy lead melodies on top. It becomes instantly infectious. And, well, I mean, with ATHENAR'S style of writing, the way he repeats riffs and chorus refrains, these things are going to get stuck in your head. And you're going to be fist pumping and chanting along with them. And that song is absolutely perfect. Again, that Motorhead energy. It is the ace of fucks.
And the lyrics are hilarious. Please read the lyrics.
That one and like Masked and Deadly, there's like this great balance again of like Motorhead and Discharge. I really love it when those sides really come together in here. And that is a thing that is very frequent on Midnight albums. Like, you can pick any of them. And honestly, I would say they're all good. This one, however, I have some slight issues with. First off, this thing's only like a little bit over 25 minutes long.
And that's crazy because the last album was like 10 minutes longer. It's really trimmed down.
Yeah. Like, I get wanting to trim the fat. Like, I mean, there's tons of bands that, like, say, hey, I think we went a little too long on this song. Maybe trim the fat. Like, let's get down to, like, the core elements that drive the song. And for the most part, I think, he does a good job of that anyway, because, I mean, generally Midnight songs aren't particularly long. Yeah. There's not a lot of, like, big, lavish transitions. That's not what ATHENAR'S about. But here, I feel like he's trimmed off some meat, too. Like, he took some meat with all the fat he was trying to trim off. And, well, I mean, all right, the opening track, Expect Total Hell, is the longest track in here, and it's the only track in here that is over 3 minutes. The rest of this, well, again, it captures, most of the stuff that, Midnight's about. I feel like some of them just kind of flat out end. Doom, Death, Desire, and Deliver Us the Devil, I feel like they just kind of end. Like, they're just kind of just done, and it's one of those where they kind of just repeat the chorus a couple of times. There's only like 2 verses, and even the lead feels really trimmed down. And then some songs are just flat out just shorter than hell, like Slave to the Blade, which is just a riffy rocker. I love that song for the entire minute and 51 seconds that is there. But I feel like there could have been more to it, and I feel like that's kind of an issue on a lot of these songs.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot going on. And now, granted, with most Midnight albums, there's not a whole lot going on. It's not the point of things. But, like, some of these songs don't even have time to really breathe before they end. Yeah, when you say trimmed down, like, the verses don't have a lot going on. The choruses are still there, but the bridges are almost non-existent. And the leads even, albeit a couple of them are decent, are really short. Like, and granted, there's not a whole lot you can pack into a 1.5-minute song, but it seems like it's missing some of the piss and vinegar that previous albums had.
And that's not true about all the tracks, but it's true about kind of most of the tracks. One of my favorite standouts in here was Nuclear Savior. I think that's just an absolutely ripping song, and for the short runtime, it still feels full.
Yep.
The verses have a good punch to them, and there's a longer lead on it. The melodies have time to sink in, and it's just a flat out banger of a song. And it's just kind of like a really good example of a condensed down formula for what Midnight does, which is already like really condensed anyway. But there are a lot of these songs, I feel like they get going and then they just kind of, I don't know, like it doesn't feel like they run out of steam because they still feel like they have energy right up into the end. But I feel like they're just like, no, let's cut out that part. It's too long. It's like, dude, that was like 30 seconds of like, like a good riff or a good breakdown for a second. I mean, Midnight always hangs on to that D beat because, I mean, ATHENAR'S even admitted he's not the best drummer, but he's, the drummer.
Right. I mean, if you can do it, it doesn't have to be flashy. You're doing it. Who cares? You're doing everything. Who cares?
But this feels even more minimal for what he's done before. Like, you go back to the last two albums, while, again, the drum performance isn't lavish, there's a little bit more in the way of, like, different rhythms. And while I don't expect much to change in Midnight's formula, I sign up for Midnight for the same reason I sign up for, like, Motorhead. Like, I don't expect Motorhead to ever change. But I like some slight variations, or, feel free to kind of, like, take the song for a walk, hang out for a little bit longer. And, I feel like what we got here was an EP with 10 tracks. And once again, granted, some awesome standouts, but I feel like there was like a third of an album kind of left on the table here. Yeah. But still at the same time, there is an energy captured with Midnight, that snarling, pissed off sort of spirit that ATHENAR embodies. It's great even in small doses. Mostly my complaints are like I didn't quite get enough of it. I got maybe all the piss, but none of the vinegar, which I feel like I'd probably be happier with the vinegar. I probably wouldn't be happy with either, honestly.
right. I don't like vinegar either.
Yeah.
But I'd rather have vinegar versus piss.
Yeah, probably. More to the point, this album and Midnight in general, this is like going to your favorite restaurant and getting that same cheeseburger you love every time. You get it because you know you will love it. And this time they might have like skimped on the pickles or the mustard or whatever you get in your burger.
Secret sauce.
Secret sauce. They might have given you less fries this time. Maybe you didn't get a refill on your drink as quick as you'd like. I don't know. There's something that kind of threw it off a little bit. And that's like my only real issue in here, because this is still Midnight doing Midnight. It's just, I want more of it. Like, I don't know. That's like the biggest issue I have with this, because again, it's still them. Yeah. But I feel like, again, he just kind of condensed it down too much. So overall, I'm going to give this 3.5, which honestly, that's probably like the lowest rating I've given a Midnight album. It's still very enjoyable. It still has all the stuff that I like about Midnight, but I feel like the songs just, I don't know, kind of cut off. Like, I feel like there could be a lot more here, and I'm not asking for anything like overtly technical or like a big, lavish, long lead section with polyrhythms or any of that shit. I'm not. Right. I'm totally not asking for that.
That's not what this band is about.
I would be pissed off if Midnight did that. But I would like just like a little bit more music. Like, I feel like some of these songs, they needed a little bit, more like instrumental time, or like a longer lead here and there. Just, a little bit more. Because being minimalist doesn't mean kind of like removing the fun elements, and I feel like they kind of removed some of the fun, and that's like the big appeal of Midnight. But still, I still like this one. Like, it's still good. But overall, I mean, if you're a big fan, again, of Venom, Motorhead, the punky era of Dark Throne, and like Toxic Holocaust and stuff like that, still check this out. I still think it's a good album. I just want the rest of it.
Yeah, I'm at a 3 personally. I did think that big fat trim did trim off a lot of the party aspect. Like, don't get me wrong, these songs are still kicking. They're still definitely more intense, especially in the back half of the record. But there's not enough song to be able to really latch on to things at times. Like, it's still really good. First of all, I will always love the vocals. Always, 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 regardless of what he's doing or not doing with the music. The over-the-top theatrical vocals and just the kind of pissed-off, hey, fuck you attitude is what music like this is all about, and he does a really good job at that. I feel like maybe I got a 10-track EP, or like maybe I ordered the entree and they screwed up and brought out the appetizer. Maybe it was something like that. I don't know. I don't have overly bad things to say about it because I like Midnight and I definitely like their live show and I will always go see them live and you should always go see them live and that's where the party is. And I feel like albeit there's still a party here, it's just not as happening of a party. I don't know. Check it out for yourself. If you're a fan of Venom and most notably Motorhead and even like Power Trip and just fun bands and that kind of stuff, I'd recommend giving this a spin. It's still Midnight. It's just like Midnight Light. So, yeah, check it out.
It's 11:45. I don't know. Anyway, if you enjoyed this review, give it a thumbs up. And if you are new to the channel, subscribe because we do stuff like this all the time. We are also on Patreon. If you'd like to help us out there, there's a link down below, thrallsmetal.com. Our Patreon link is there. It is also on our channel up in the banner in the bottom right-hand corner. But if you're looking for Thralls Metal stuff, you have to go to thrallsmetal.com. We have new shirts. We have old shirts that are discounted, provided we have your size. And we even have hats, too. So if you're looking for any of that stuff, click the link down below.
And last but not least, a ton of stuff going on at Thralls of Metal, whether it be album reviews or discography rankings. Meshuggah's next. States of Metal, What's John Jammin', collection updates, a whole myriad of things. There's always something going on here at Thralls of Metal. And the reason we keep going is because you guys keep going. You guys are what makes Thralls of Metal as cool as it is. I had no idea it would ever get to the size it is now. It doesn't make any sense to me, but it does to you guys, and we appreciate it. It definitely shows. We couldn't do this without you guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you guys absolutely rule. Thank you again from the bottom of my heart, and we will catch you later.